The deathmatch community, I personally think it's like one of the most inclusive places. I personally believe black people can do anything.
How do you then start to figure out your style?
A look that someone hasn't really gotten before. Colors that is a big thing of my photography. It captures more of the aura. There was times that I really wanted to quit because I get discouraged because it wasn't catching on. My PWI cover with Matt Cardona and Steph. I shot New Jack's last match.
Ringville episode, RJ Adams. Yo, what's up everyone? How you doing? My name is Kevin Herrera Sanchez, KHS, and welcome to another episode of Ringville. Today, it's a very special episode. We have another wrestling production homie. You've seen him shoot for House of Glory, E2U, GCW, BCW, PWJ, Shadow Wrestling. RJ Adams, aka Red Shoes Media. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. It's I'm glad you invited me out here. This is a nice little setup. The logo, I like that. That's a nice little detail.
That's great. Yeah, I feel you. Thank you very much for taking the time and sitting down with me. Like, I myself have a production background, so it's like whenever I get the chance to talk to production people in wrestling, it's always a good time.
It always is, man. It's just like I always feel like I always feel like I have to shake somebody down. It's like, oh my God, like you worked in like editing, like you know what an Avid looks like, you know what the Avid box is, like, and then you just go off from there.
Yeah, exactly.
You had a friend of mine, Anthony, on the show, and we actually known each other all the way since college.
Have you really?
Through BMCC, we worked together. We went to school together as well. But it's just only within the last year or so I've bumped into him, shooting video, and it's just like, holy shit, man! I am so happy to see you, and I'm able to give him tips and tricks along the way, because these people a little bit much.
Yeah, wrestling. That's wrestling, right?
That's generally.
And that's
wrestling.
Also just every business.
It's whether it's the indies or working at Best Buy, it's like there's politics everywhere.
Exactly. Well, you may not have seen him in a ring, but you've definitely seen him around the ring. He is one of the photographers in the New York City area. How did you get into wrestling photography?
That's a bit of a long story. Photography in general, that's something I got into when I was in high school. My sister, she had a Nikon camera. This is way back when I was 17, 18. And I'd take it and I'd fiddle around with it. I'd take my own little shots with it. I'd get them developed at Dwayne Reed. You remember when Dwayne Reed still did stuff like that?
Right.
And so I was one of the photographers for my high school yearbook, which is one of the nerdiest thing you could possibly be. So fast forward a little bit from that point. I went through a bunch of different cameras, but in terms of just how I got into the wrestling business. So I was a photographer for Yep, I Like Wrestling. So what they happen to do is they throw a lot of pay-per-view parties. So just whenever there's a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam, they run a bar and they have giveaways and specials, and I would take some pictures of them, everybody having a good time, everyone won their belts, et cetera, et cetera. And someone at the time approached me and was like, hey, so I really like your photography, and we're working on a brand new company called Violence and Suffering. It's called VXS.
Which is now Arrival Wrestling.
This is indeed true. And I said yes, and then I went from there. I brought my little my Nikon camera there. But essentially I started there. I shot for them off and on. They took a little bit of a hiatus, and so did I, just because it's one of those things where I got paid for those gigs, and it's just I wasn't really told that when you're beginning in the wrestling business, that it's getting paid is not the usual standard at all. And so it's just I had my little job, and I worked there. I've worked a myriad of customer service jobs. I've worked Best Buy. I've worked Circuit City. I've worked Pottery Barn. I've worked Foot Locker. I've worked Fora. I've worked at just I've even demonstrated a coffee machine back in my day. Several coffee machines, but that's neither here nor there. But in terms of that, I got back into photography though for wrestling. I started shooting for ICW NHB No Holds Barred, which is it was the first deathmatch show. It was their first show. Danny DeMonto, some of you might have heard of him. He's basically one of the kingpins in like the whole deathmatch promotion sort of thing. And I went up and down like the country with him. Like and this was like in the very beginning of the pandemic. So this was, I believe, the first week of January 2020, just right before the world went to.
Right.
It's been a topsy-turvy ride from there. Just being in the wrestling business, just seeing, because like as a fan, you have a certain idea, you know exactly what behind the scenes in the wrestling business, because we're all smart, and then you go behind the scenes and it's just like every sort of thing, any opinion that you have about a lot of these people just kind of just dissipates. It's only because like they're just behind the scenes. It's mostly just regular people.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like they're just living their dream. They're trying to go from town to town. They might be nursing an injury for anywhere from a couple of days to a couple of years. And then like just traveling with these folk, man, it's just like you learn so much. And it's just like I can't judge wrestling and wrestlers the same way that I did when I was, just a fan.
Right. So you still shoot on your Nikon?
Same Nikon I've always been shooting. Well, not the exact same Nikon I got for my sister. That's a film camera. Film is like I'll say this confidential. I think film is just kind of passe and it's overrated.
Do you really?
I do. I'm one of those guys. It's just like all the people that shoot film, more power to you. But it's kind of unwieldy. You have to pay for it twice, and then like you have to deal with all these sorts of things about it. Like for me, I just rather just shoot on my digital Nikon, put it into a computer, put it up, whenever I want to, and then I could have it look pretty much just like any film that I want to with LUTs and all that stuff. Yeah. But if I was going to shoot on film, though, it would probably be medium format enough.
100%.
Because it's just like those most people have seen like IMAX on their TV or big IMAX screen. Yeah. That's like the closest thing it gives you to that quality.
Right. When you are getting into wrestling, in terms of photography, how do you then start to figure out your style?
That's a good question.
In terms of like my style, like I try, the way I think about it, I try to capture the aura of the room. Both, with a little bit more accoutrements, have it a little bit more dazzling for me. For me, I love the look of Nikon and just Nikon cameras, especially the way they handle color. Because colors is a big thing of my photography. I like hard, intense color. There's some shoots I'll desaturate here and there, but honestly speaking, I like nice and bold color. Like there's a photographer, David LaChapelle.
Okay.
It's just these nice cinematic images that are just like so like bizarre.
Yeah.
And it's just like otherworldly. Like that's what I try to get after. And there's another photographer by the name of Second Gunny. Second Gunny is great. He just recently got into TNA, right. And like his stuff is great.
Fits.
And then there's Beyond Gorilla. Beyond Gorilla stuff, that's like the first photographer for me that was just like, I really want to do that.
Okay.
Because that's a little different than just, promo shots in the black, gray, white background. It's just like it captures more of the aura of these men and women that we work with. Yeah. And so it's just like, but for me, if I describe my style, it's like I try to capture the aura in the room. It's just like I don't like a lot of I don't like using flash, especially around ringside. I'll do it for like promos because, quite frankly, that's a requirement. Right. It's a certain like expression, the emotion, especially like I shoot a lot of deathmatch stuff. I shoot like a lot of blood spurting, and it's just like a lot of things for me. It's like 80s sort of like action movies. Okay, a big thing for me. I started off in production like yourself, and like I have a bunch of American cinematographer magazines, and I used to like love going through all the old articles about all my favorite movies. But it was the one thing that like struck me was how they made Die Hard. And Die Hard cinematographer, that was Yann de Bont. So, and he shot that movie using Nikon lenses. It was Nikon, I think they made the class, but it was Panavision lenses. And that movie, especially at night, has such a look to it. It's like this glossy, but it's kind of gritty sort of feel.
Yeah.
And like, that's exactly like the kind of look that I'm trying to go for. I wanted to look like, you could stick this in a magazine right now, but it's just like so lurid looking that it just kind of like, I don't want to look at it. It just looks so interesting. Right? And I've had people that I know tell me they became fans of Deathmatch wrestling because of my photography.
Really?
Yeah, that's a strange feeling. Yeah. You know, I like to expose people to new things. So
But that's also such a compliment to your work.
Yeah, it really is, man. It's just, I've been doing photography for a long time, ever since I was a teenager. And like, people push me. It's like, you should really be doing this photography. You should be really doing photography. You should be a photographer. You should really be a photographer. Then I decided to pursue it, and then it's actually went pretty well for me, going after something, like that.
Right. So then how do you get into deathmatch photography?
I mean, again, it's that was one of those things I kind of fell into. Like I said, I shot the first no holds barred event, and I just kind of stuck with them because it was either them or GCW that was running through the pandemic, and I had a bunch of money, and I was kind of bored at home, and I had a camera. So I kind of went with them, I was shooting in a ringside here and there, and then I asked Danny, I was like, hey, so you mind if I visually shoot ringside? Because I was one of those guys in the crowd that had a good camera and good lenses, and people was like, wow, this is some really good stuff.
And so it's just like, I just kept on going from there. We had shows at this place in South Jersey called The Bloodshed. And it's just like, I still love that name. It was like a barn, and it was a ring set up it was like either a ring or like an octagon type of thing set up in a barn. And it was like some of the wildest shit I've ever been a part of. And like I had met some folks, Lawrence, and
I run into them just randomly in Atlantic City.
Okay.
Just because I just wanted a drink, and his name's Scotty. So it was Lawrence and Scotty.
Okay.
And Scotty was the first person I met. And Scotty was lit as hell, but dude had so much enthusiasm, and I didn't really know anybody. Yeah. So it was just you know what, let me talk to him, let me get him something. Mm-hmm. And then we got all cool, and then we started going up and down New York to New York. They picked me up from Hoboken.
Okay.
And then they would drive me all the way down to Millville, New Jersey.
Millville.
And I was and that's like a 3-hour trip.
That's a drive.
I just kept on going through there, and there was times I really wanted to quit because I would post things on Instagram, and I'd get discouraged because it wasn't catching on. Mm-hmm. And it was Reed Bentley that came up to me. He was like, you know what, you do really great work, and a lot of us boys and girls in the back really appreciate what you do. I'm just well, thank you. I was in no way expecting that.
Right.
And just kept on going from there. I went to Florida, shot for No Peace Underground. That's the first time I ever went to Florida. Met Shotzi Blackheart there. She just happened to be just chilling there.
That's cool.
And oh man, I shot some of my very favorite bits of photography ever. There's a photo of Atticus Kogar. He's not even one of the best people in Deathmatch. He's one of the best people in the Indies in terms of working, in terms of talking people into a building. He could go anywhere. I have this shot of him breaking this huge glass pane with a chain.
Okay.
And I got the photo while it was shattering, so it was you could just kind of see where the hit mark was, and then just kind of glass and kind of spider webbing.
Yeah.
It's a photo I have over my couch in my home.
So it's one of my all-time favorite photographs. And then there's a young lady by the name of Casey Kirk that I came across in ICW, and I think between our photography, it's
she's just a wonderful human being. And like whatever we would do, it was just magic. Just some of my most well-known pictures have come from her. Like it's like one of those things. Like I could put up a photo right now, and by the end of tonight, I'm pretty sure it's going to get 100+ likes. The deathmatch community, I personally think it's like one of the most inclusive like places, just generally speaking.
Yeah.
It hasn't been that much like anymore, but like I just like would go down there with my camera, and then like someone recognized, either the red shoes, like, oh, you red shoes, man. You shot something in like New Jersey that I really, really love. And it'll be like some person from Texas that I've never met. It was amazing the support I got from just pure strangers. And just like, a lot of people have the idea, just like, well, you're black. Like, how do you, what are you getting the enjoyment out of shooting these, people at each other for like, barbed wire bats and tack bats, and glass panes, and just, those guys were very welcoming of me. Like, if there's anything I can say about those guys, like some of the hardest men that anyone gets.
Right. Yeah, that's deathmatch wrestling right there.
Yeah.
And there's pictures on your Instagram of you bleeding.
Yeah.
Because you're so up close and personal in these death matches where it's like you just get like caught in some of the.
Yeah, it just happens, and my fellow photographers that they're like, how the hell are you getting that close? Right. And it's just like, because I'm trying to get like a look that someone hasn't really gotten before. I'm just trying to get like that one shot.
Okay.
That can either define that person or just, my photography.
Yeah.
Just because you have to make yourself stand out. It's even more so than being nice and courteous. Like your work has to stand out. Like, there's so many great photographers just on the East Coast alone.
Right.
And the rest of America, there's a bunch of great photographers. There's competition, man. Like, and I work alongside some of the best people. And my stuff has to be good, or like, what am I doing?
You have appeared in PWI a few number of times, which is the biggest wrestling magazine. Is it safe to say the world?
I think so. I think it would be safe to say the world.
Like, how much does that mean to you?
That means the world.
Nice.
Especially since like it was only a couple years after like I really was like treated Red Shoes Media seriously as a brand and the company that within a couple of years just like they hit me up. It was about my work with Casey Kirk.
Okay.
And like they just took a couple of photos, and like they before that they would do bloody photos, but they wouldn't really do anything focusing on deathmatch per se. And I was able to, first time I got like 1 or 2 images, but I believe it was the second time was actually, I think, the wrap up for the year. But the third time, that was when the whole spread had come out. But that's when she run the American Deathmatch Championship in ICW. Yeah, it was a big build up for that, and I got a lot of good pictures. But to be able to create someone's aura, essentially from the ground up, that's amazing to me. I was just like, I like low key, I would love like a black woman to come out and, at least try to make a swing for a death match. But here's the thing about death match. I mean, again, you just had that conversation about like people don't really dig death match, and it's just like you explain what it's like. Oh hell no,
Yeah.
And it's just like, I get it. It's just for me, it's something I fell in love with. I fell in love,
Do you think that's changing little by little?
That, I think so. I think that is changing little by little. It's just like, it's very much like, black people don't do that. And I personally believe black people do anything. So, and that's what I'm here for. And
you're just there to capture it.
Yeah, I'm just there to capture it and just try to make people look good and present them the best possible.
What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned from learning how to navigate being maybe backstage or ringside as a photographer?
I mean, that is a question. That's a question. I mean, if I were to sit here and tell you that I haven't made mistakes, in my photography career, I'd be lying to you. There's a certain method of just the way a kid from Brooklyn operates is like, I'm gonna elbow my way in, I'll elbow my way in some more, and I'll elbow, just make some room, right? But then you find out that approach is terrible in certain respects. Just always ask permission. If you're gonna be shooting from the crowd, just don't bother too close to the wrestlers. Just try and get your shots the best you can. Get a good zoom. Also, when it comes down, if you want to shoot for promotion, ask. And if you don't get a response, that means that maybe you haven't been working hard enough. Maybe you don't have enough photos to get seen. Right. And so it's like, I give the most boring advice to other fellow photographers. As a matter of fact, there's a gentleman called Adele Hall. He's a photographer out of Australia.
Okay.
And I was shooting one of the New Fear City events in Brooklyn, and we're just outside, we're chilling and stuff. It's a hot, friggin' summer night, and guy approaches me. He's like, "Hey, are you Red Shoes Me?" It's like that. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I am. And I'm like, "Yeah, so I'm Del, and you've really inspired me to pick up a camera and shoot deathmatch wrestling in Australia," which is just like, holy hell! When I did this, I was, most things, just I was just thinking people wasn't paying attention, but I wasn't thinking I was putting my work out there to the world, and people from Australia would be inspired to pick up a camera. And I've had other people come up to me and said, "Well, Red Shoes Me, your work was so good, it inspired me to pick up a camera to shoot, these men and women just, bashing each other with glass plates and whatnot, And that's not something I was expecting.
Right. Oh yeah, that's across the world.
It's I'll go through my data on my Instagram. Sometimes, people, countries United States, Japan, and then Iraq would pop up, and it's just
people from there are liking your work.
It's I don't know how it's gotten that far, but I can only be appreciative.
Exactly. So you start shooting from the crowd, right? And then how do you then incorporate yourself into shooting ringside and safely shoot from a distance while also not getting in the way?
Ooh, that is a good question. That's a good question. So the way I did it, at least at the time, the very beginning, I would get as close to ringside as possible. Just to the annoyance of some people. But I always made sure that I stayed out of the general path of the wrestlers or actual ringside.
Yeah.
And so it's just you ask for permission to shoot ringside. I would, in the very beginning, I would shoot with prime lenses because I always felt you do get the best overall image quality, but in terms of being just safe and being just cognizant of where you are, zooms work best ringside. Mm-hmm. It's because a lot of those companies, man, there's no mat to speak of. There might be tarp, and then there's gonna be blood. There's gonna be just shards of light tube glass on the floor, and you have to keep an eye on the crowd. You have to keep an eye on the glass. You have to keep an eye on the referee. You have to keep an eye on the wrestlers. Yeah. And then just sometimes in the wrong position, you get sprayed with glass, and just like you brought that up. There's a photo of me with blood coming out of my temple. Not the first time that's happened. The first time it happened, I was in Indiana shooting ICW. And I was just right behind the glass pane spot because it was set up in the turnbuckle area. I think it was Tank threw Satu Jin into the glass pane. I was right behind it, and I just feel the piece of glass go hit me right there. Yeah. And then it's just oh, Jesus. And so it's if you, I think the event should be on IWTV. If you pull up that event, you could probably see me directly after that, and then you'll see me just go off to the back. And then it's just, And it was Casey Kirk that actually patched me up a little bit. There's a photo of that somewhere in my archives. But it was just like, yeah, man, it's just like, yeah, this is incredibly dangerous.
Right.
And you should always be mindful and cognizant. It's like, again, there's so many elements around ringside that actually cause you to get tripped up or, slip and fall. Again, there's the wrestlers, there's the glass, there's the blood, there's possible beer spills. Oh, make sure you have shoes that grip. That's
You hear that? Shoes that grip.
Yeah, I mean, I also like to recommend safety equipment for those that would shoot deathmatch wrestling, but I'm also guilty of just throwing on a hoodie and just not doing that.
No goggles, no nothing.
And luckily I've just gotten hit a couple of times with a piece of glass. There's been colleagues of mine that have gotten the whole half it two just go right into their lens.
Right.
So it's just like, just be safe if you're going to be shooting deathmatches. That's the only thing I could tell you.
Did red shoes come from the fact that you just wear red shoes, or was it a homage to red shoes from New Japan Pro Wrestling?
It's a little bit of both actually. I had a pair of Jordan 11s.
Okay.
I think they're called the Winlake 96s. I bought them a while back. I loved wearing those shoes. And then it's just like, when I originally came on the scene, I was shooting VXS. I always call myself Roger Adams Photography, which is like, I feel like that's kind of plain. That's kind of, So I decided to change to a nom de plume, RJ. Which is still my name, Roger Jason Adams. But it's like, I do that as kind of like a buffer.
Okay.
Just because, if you call me RJ Adams, I know exactly where you're from. If you call me Roger, I also know exactly where you're coming from. So it's just like, if you call me RJ, you know me from this part of my life. If you call me Roger, you know me from this part of my life. So it's just like, I think it was William Regal. I was listening to his podcast some years ago. He said that he had a whole method of turning off William Regal and being his actual self when he came to the door. He said when coming to the airport, he would actually be in a car and travel a whole completely different way to get him out of the mindset of being William Regal. And so by the time that he, hopped out of that car, he's himself. Because I can imagine, no one wants to be snobby William Regal 100% of the time. And it's just like, I feel like, you kind of have to separate that portion of your life. You can't be 100%, this can't be 100%, this can't be 100%. But you owe it to the people in your life to also, protect them. And it's just protect yourself.
For sure. Yeah, so do you feel like you stop being red shoes media when you take off your shoes?
Red shoes media is me. I can't avoid that. That is something that I've created and built from the ground up. In terms of, RJ versus Roger, the people I've known for my whole life. Call me Roger. But if you know me for a certain portion of time from the wrestling business, call me RJ. But I adore the people that I've met in my time as a photographer. I love those people.
What are some of your proudest accomplishments in your career so far?
Definitely my PWI cover of Matt Cardona and Steph. That is if there's anything that I have done that is, that I can tell, little ATL Roger with the camera that if you want to stick with it, it's you shut the wrestling magazine.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's what there's people, there's really great photographers that don't even have that.
Right.
And so it's just, it's one of those things I'll just always, always appreciate.
How did that come together?
It was actually pretty simple. And I had worked with PWI before with Casey Kirk, and it was just I got hit up by the editor of PWI, and he was like, "Hey, so Matt Cardona is going to be at House of Glory, and we'd like to shoot him and Steph for cover. We know where they're going to be there." And I was just like, you know what? I'll do it. It was at that time, the biggest thing I've really ever done. And I was incredibly nervous about it. I got like a whole roll of white seamless paper from B&H. And like I got like a stand for that. And it was just like, but like I was super nervous about that because like, I mean, if you've ever been to the backstage of HOG, especially when they do their shows in Queens, like backstage is every inch of that area has a human being or like a bag or like someone stepping over you. And so it's just like, I was really nervous if I was gonna have the room to do it. And I had just about enough room.
It's nice.
And yeah, I think it turned out lovely. I was told that Matt Cardona and Steph, they both loved the image. And it's like, I have 2 copies and when that came out, like I believe on Christmas Day, I showed my pops, and I landed like this is my photography on cover of magazine, a bunch of wrestlers, because that's the man that got me into wrestling. Like when I was 5 years old, and fun fact, the first MSG show he went together was actually the Curtain Call.
Really?
Yeah, it was like one of those things that like. I couldn't remember the dates, but like I remember like, you know, Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon and Diesel and, you know, all those guys hugging. I remember that. And it was just like, my pops was like, who is that?
Like, they're not supposed to do that?
Yeah. And it was just like, that was an interesting time. So yeah, definitely PWI. Definitely the cover of that. I shot New Jack's last match.
Did you?
Yeah, that was through ICW in Florida, and that's like one of those things that's kind of like, I actually met him before. I got to tell him that to us kids, because I was so little. I was like, what, New Jack came out, it's like 96, 97. I was like 9, 10 years old, and I was just like, to us, you were the black boogeyman. And then he lectured that, and I was like, but I'm at least glad I got to shake his hand and tell him that, because like, Jesus Christ, that man is insane. Yeah, and like I'm glad that I got to shoot him, and I have a main match in my archives against Schwack.
Really?
Yeah, like that's just one of those things I still can't believe that like I shot. And memory serves, I almost didn't get to shoot because our Uber got there late, and this was literally took place in the back of a pawn shop.
Okay.
And it's just like, we get there, there's cops, and it's just like, it's literally like a situation like I gotta drop my shit and shoot.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like just get the right lens and like, because they was already fighting the crowd. It was like, so sometimes, you know, you gotta be on the ball.
Right.
I was like, one more I could add to the list. I was able to shoot Mercedes Mone in her debut for AEW via PWI. That was a big thing for me because I was a big fan of Sasha Banks at the time, right? When she was in NXT and then WWE, and I was there for that infamous Brooklyn Takeover.
Were you really?
Yeah, me and my roommate at the time. That was one of the hottest crowds I could ever remember, and I've been to several WrestleManias.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, that crowd is legendary. Like that Brooklyn crowd. But that's amazing that you were there. And then it's what a like maybe full circle moment to then shoot her debut.
Yeah, like I met her like a couple of years ago too, so it was just like that was a really big moment for me, man. Like it's just that was one of those you know, more to professional trajectory type of things. It's just like, wow, I really did this. And then just like the whole like going to Boston Garden and then going behind the scenes, and there's like going to the box. It was like, hey, so there's some tickets waiting for what? Oh man, like those moments. Like, and then it's just like on the envelope it says RJ Adams tickets, and then it's just like you get the AEW 1 day pass. I mean, I have a lot of these things in a book where I like to call the Book of Legends. So it's like random knickknacks from my time. Just being a photographer, and it's like this is like old time that I'll never, you know, get back, because I might as well document a little bit of it. Because normally I'm just the guy that is just like, hey, so I did this. What's the next thing?
Right.
I remember having a conversation with the promoter about it, and this is like my first Mania weekend event, and I was just dog tired. I didn't want to hear anything about anything. I just wanted to pack up my lights in my little suitcase and then just go. But then it was just like, mention something like, hey, so you got to appreciate all the small moments before you kind of miss it. He was right.
There you go. Oh, well, man, thank you very much for taking the time and sitting down with me.
Not a problem, man. I'm glad I was able to talk to you and clarify some things. I said the sorts of, issues.
Not at all. Anything you would like to plug to the cameras while you're here?
I've got several things that are in the works. I'm trying to prep my first photo book. Because when prominent photographers from WWE say, like, why haven't you come off your book yet? That kind of sets you into gear.
Yeah.
So I should probably start working on that pretty soon. But in terms of that, you can go to my website to see any of my past works. That's redshoes.media. You just put that in there. Or you can also go to my Instagram. That's red.shoes.media. You can also go to my Twitter. That will be one word, Red Shoes Media. And I believe I'm also on Threads to red.shoes.media.
Right.
But the key element is my IG. I consider that my home account.
Gotcha. And everything will be in the description below, so you'll just be able to find everything there. And go check out his work. It's truly incredible.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, man, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Until next time, everyone, we out.